Cambridgeshire, this is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum. This is your very own Dr. Shabina Asad Qayyum for Salam Radio 106.2 FM on the Body, Health and Mind show. I hope you're all well. This weather doesn't seem to be turning, does it? With it still being quite chilly, but your spirit should be high. I love hosting these shows on the evening where I actually try to bring to you the latest in health news around Peterborough and the Cambridgeshire area, as well as trying to share with you news about other taboo issues or issues that aren't as well tackled within the Muslim community. Do remember that Salam Radio is a fantastic community radio station that seeks to build bridges between the Muslim communities and other communities of which I am a part. So I'll give you a little bit of an intro of who I am. I'm Dr. Shabina Asad Qayyum. I work for a wonderful practice in the centre of Peterborough. Love my job as an NHS GP, and I've had a break for a couple of weeks, but it's been a good one, and I come back with an element of positivity, and I hope that you share the same feelings with me in the next hour of this show. So without further ado, I'm going to run through the drill. I'd really like you to participate with me today on the show, so you are more than welcome to call us on 01733 602 133, or you can text us on 07411 191062. You can also comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitch. X is the old version of Twitter, in case you needed reminding. Well, I've got some very special guests with me who I'm delighted to introduce today. And if you recall, a couple of months ago, we had guests on my show from Peterborough City Council, and we had two fabulous councillors with us talking about fostering within the Muslim community. And it was a fantastic show. It was a success that really had some good uptake. And that's why I think that it's wonderful that we return again with the same wonderful guests. And I'd like to introduce them, or rather I'd invite them to introduce themselves. So from Peterborough City Council, we have Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello there.
It's lovely to have you here on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
It's great. Yes, it's great to have you for this follow-up show. And we also have Councillor Noreen B. Hello.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. It's wonderful to have you as well. And we also have Councillor Dennis Jones. Hello.
Good evening, Shabina. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you. It's wonderful to have you. And it'd be good to run through the same type of intro again. So, Catherine, I'd be delighted if you could share with our listeners what your role is at Peterborough City Council and what you do.
Okay, I will try and do a very, very quick summary. So I am a fostering recruitment officer, and I deal with everyone that comes through to inquire about fostering. So people that might have been thinking about it for a long time and are just making that initial step into fostering. They might have lots of questions that they want to ask. So it's my role to present the facts and to help them through the inquiry and the application process. So it's quite a varied role. I also have responsibility of undertaking the initial home visits to people and make sure that the space that they have on offer is suitable for fostering, and just help them through any questions that they might have. Obviously, there's a real shortage of foster carers in the Peterborough area at the moment. So we're just trying to raise some awareness and hopefully reach those people that have been thinking about fostering to come forward and have a discussion.
Well, that was a really endearing intro. Thanks for sharing that with us, Catherine. Thank you. And Noreen, please, once again, share with our listeners the role that you've played as a local councillor in trying to promote this very worthy, I think, project, and some of the work that you've done and what you'd like to see come out of it.
Thank you, Shabina. Basically, myself and Dennis, we're working closely with the fostering team. We're sort of trying to get people from ethnic minorities to get involved and basically spreading the word and trying to basically get more people to sign up because obviously the numbers are increasing within the council and we would like to offer some, keep the children local.
Yeah. Well, that's fabulous. It really is. And Dennis, now I'm particularly, I like the fact that you share with us a role that you absolutely enjoy, and that's being chair of the It's the children services, isn't it?
It's the corporate parenting
Corporate
committee.
parenting, which is incredibly gratifying role, and we know that because you've shared that with us. Would you like to talk a little bit about your role as well, and the fact that you've been supporting Noreen and obviously Catherine and making us aware in your position as group leader?
By all means. I mean, I've been on the corporate parenting committee since being elected in 2018. I love being responsible for our foster carers, or the support of our foster carers, and for our looked after children. I think it's one of the most gratifying and, if I may say, important things that we do as counsellors. And every counsellor, every officer is a corporate parent. So really all I'm trying to do is bring some enjoyment and some of the love that I have to people who obviously may be thinking about, I wonder what it would be like to be a corporate parent, a foster carer. There's people out there, they do things like kinship care, so they maybe already be looking after people within their own family, and they're perhaps not quite getting the recognition they deserve. And it'd be nice if they came forward and shared with us some of the things they do, and perhaps we can help them by turn.
Wonderful. And it's so heartwarming because the different facets around fostering and taking care of children and the intricacies and how we can help children in those vulnerable positions isn't really widely known. Now, when you first came on Salam Radio last time, there was a tremendous response, I'd say. It was great. It was positive. And we've got to work together, haven't we, as sort of various stakeholders that recognise that there is an area of need. Catherine, how has it been over the last couple of months? Obviously, you weren't in that first show, but you must have seen some of the uptake. And from the Muslim community, have you had much response?
Yeah, so from the appearance on the last show, we've had, I think we've had 2 or 3 people that have come forward.
Great.
We've had one, unfortunately, did drop out for personal reasons, but we have got one going through assessment at the moment. Hopefully will be approved foster carer in a few months. So there are people that are in the process and hopefully going to go on to be approved foster carers, but as always, we want to reach as many people as possible. So I would really encourage that if people are thinking about it, if they have the spare room and they have the space, they have that time and the availability, and are thinking, I could do that, then contact us, get in touch, have that conversation, and I can speak to them and guide them through the process. Because I think some of the difficult things is there's a lot of myths out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people see and hear that think might eliminate them from being a foster carer that might not actually be true. So if there's something that people want to ask and they've been thinking about it for a long time, just please get in touch.
Yeah.
Because we need more local foster carers, because we want to maintain those local links for children and ensure that they've got the stability of things that are familiar to them.
Yeah.
That could be just staying in the same school, for example. We don't want to move children around if we don't have to, particularly if they've already been subjected to quite a lot of moves already. We want to achieve that stability, and local foster carers are greatly needed.
Yeah. We've had a lot of questions around people inquiring on what they're probably going to be in terms of reimbursed or paid as a result of these. And I think it's really important to use these platforms and this show to say that having a child or taking on board a child is an emotional responsibility as well. I do like to talk about some of the controversy that surrounds it, and you will get people that come forward who will look at it from a financial incentive point of view. It's important to talk about it, but actually the reward, when you put that ahead of whatever financial recompense that you're going to get out of it, is something that we don't talk about often enough, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, speaking to some of the sort of experienced foster carers that we have, we've got lots of foster carers in Peterborough that have done it for a number of years, and one of the main reasons that they do it is because of that reward, because they've been able to offer that child or that young person that stability and that safe home, and they feel that sense of achievement that they've been able to help. And I think I'd say it's really important to sort of focus on the reward in that sense.
Yeah, it is. And well, whilst you've been saying that, it actually comes to mind a lady who is been known in a neighbourhood for the ward that, I cover. And she is somebody who was a foster carer back in the day. And she still refers to her foster children as my children. And my goodness, some of them had really complex needs. And it's a wealth of education just sitting down and listening to her when she spoke of some of the children whilst they were under her care, about how they would sometimes need intensive mental health input and therapies, but that she was so proud of who they had become today. And I'm sure that within your own communities, Dennis and Noreen, you have come across children that have that complex array of needs. Dennis, would you like to say something about that?
People come into care, children come into care at all stages of their lives, with many, many different things. It could be for a very short space of time. Catherine's the expert on the number of points of entry, but I'm aware from the people that I deal with is there can be young children, there can be babies, they can come in 7, 8 years old, they can come in their teens. And generally, I think people who are foster carers are also going through their own journey, and they can accept different children with different maybe complexities, maybe very light touch. It's just being there for them just for a short space of time. It doesn't have to be very onerous, it doesn't have to be very long, but the nice thing is they're supported by Catherine and all the social workers, and that's something that we're very proud of, is that we do take care of our looked after children and by turn our foster carers. And my other role that I didn't mention before is I champion foster care recruitment. Noreen helps out with their training, their development, so it's a big role. We split it into two, but we work together very closely on it so that we know exactly what we're doing. And then if we do need to cover for each other, we do. And that's how we're working as a team. Even though Noreen and I are lay people, we're not the professionals that the social workers and the recruitment people are, we can be called upon to help if we absolutely need to. So, it would be nice if people go, oh, I wonder if, or how about, and then people like Catherine, they can answer all those questions and more.
That's great to hear. So Noreen, that leads me on to my next question that I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you've had more exposure to the Muslim communities and potential families that have expressed an interest in wanting to foster children. What areas have you identified within Muslim families that you feel probably would benefit from training to try and make them up to speed with the fostering process, for example? Are there any hindrances you feel sometimes? Because families within the Muslim community, obviously I'm a Muslim as well, you have a real sense of, number one, community, you have larger extended families, and it's often thought culturally that it takes a whole family to raise a child. And do you still see elements of that? Do you see elements of extended family members sometimes objecting to anybody wanting to foster a child? What have your experiences been?
I think all in all, it's been really, really positive. The fact that obviously within the Asian families, the extended family is always involved. This is something we're taking back to the foster recruitment team as well. Because obviously when they do their checks, they just look at the immediate family. But in this case, it's the immediate family and the extended family which is involved as well. It's something we're working on, trying to get more family members involved. That is something they are looking into as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's more positive. It'll give the child better experience, more exposure within the community as well. And they'll be feeling less isolated. The challenges are... when we first started, there were a lot of myths, basically in a negative way, saying, and the fact that there was very little knowledge about it. A lot of people they were curious about it, but they didn't know where to look for information, which is what we're sort of trying to do now, is obviously if any time they could pick up the phone, call the foster recruitment team, any questions they have, the team is more than happy to ask them, and that's what we want them to do. Overall, it's a very positive basically outcome, but I think we do need to do a lot of work at the moment, which we are doing. But we're always grateful for people coming forward, asking the questions, so that we can take them further up
Yeah.
and sort of make the right changes. So
Yeah. So, and that's wonderful to hear. It really is. And it's an example of the local authority working with a demographic or a community and adapts to their cultural, what can I say? I won't use the word practices, but cultural way of life, and how families are usually built and how they operate. So, Catherine, obviously tying in with this, it would be really good to have a repeat of what the process is. So I'm from a Muslim family, I'm a parent, and I come to you and say, do you know, I'm great. I'd love to be able to foster a child. I'm preferably looking for a child who's young, primary school age, but I work shifts, for example. I'm a carer. And I'm giving you this as a real example because both Noreen and I have had this experience of how to direct such people. So I'm a carer, I work shifts, but can I still foster a child at all, Catherine?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we would look at is we look at what shifts you do, what age preference that you have for that child, or potentially to look after a child.
6-year-old.
Yeah, so they would be at school.
Yeah.
We would also look at something that's just been touched on, support network. So are there people like extended family that can help? Who is available to help you? Particularly important for single carers as well, because another myth is I'm single, I can't foster. That's not necessarily true. We obviously want to hear from everyone, regardless of whether they're married, single. And we look at support network because that's really important, because everyone needs time out as well.
Yeah.
So, one person can't be available 24/7, 365 days a year. It's just not possible. So that's one of the things that we would discuss. We would look at that person's shift pattern, for example. We would look at how that would fit with a school-age child, for example. And if they were doing a later shift, could somebody be around to help them with the care of that child? So we always try and find a way to make it possible.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we discuss at the initial inquiry stage. So we gather some initial information about people's circumstances, their working commitments, and we try and see if that would fit.
Yeah. And it sounds so wonderful. As you tell me this, Catherine, and from your experiences as well, Dennis and Noreen, I've got a really good friend who fosters 2 children, and just the fulfillment and the joy to these children's lives, the way that their lives are enriched is, I'm not able to describe how I have actually experienced. So it was just before Christmas, and they'd come home from school and they walked through the doors, and they were happy, and they were good children, and they walked to the kitchen and they asked permission for things like, can I have this biscuit? Do I throw the wrapper in the bin? And you see such children when their lives, they come from troubled, sometimes circumstances, but their lives suddenly become enriched with this love and this care, and they flourish, and you can just see that, can't you? You really can. And that's what I want to share with our listeners, because I feel it's so important that they grasp the change that they're able to spread in the way of hope, love, enrichment into these young children's lives, and what a difference it can make. It truly is remarkable. So what we really need is to increase the uptake of Muslim families within Peterborough and the areas to take on board young children for fostering. Do we have many Muslim children who are up for fostering in the Peterborough area at all, Catherine? Are you aware?
I don't actually know how many are currently
Sure.
Sort of waiting for foster carers.
Yeah, that's an unfair question, to be honest.
No, it's fine. It's just dealt with by a different side.
Sure.
So what we have is what we call placement officers.
Yeah.
So when referrals are received to us about children that require this safe home, our placement officers will then contact available foster carers, taking into consideration things like the child's age, where they go to school, where does that foster carer live, can they manage it, and we do what we call a sensitive matching process.
Yeah.
And then we also look at things like cultural needs, religion, things like that. And we try to match as closely as possible. It's obviously a challenge because we have got a shortage. So, like I say, if anyone is listening and thinking about it and has got more questions, then just get in touch.
Yeah.
And we can talk about those.
Yeah. And as counsellors, all of you, have you had exposure to children who may have come from outside the area at all, Dennis?
Yes, we do get placements from, for instance, asylum seekers. We've had children who've come in. One of the things is that when they come in, each placement is recorded. So it looks like they've moved around a lot. But what we've done quite successfully in Peterborough is managed to keep them here and keep them within families so that we reduce the number of movements and give them that settled feeling. The other side of the coin is Noreen and I have spoken with community leaders in the Asian community, the Muslim community. And one of the things is what we're working with social workers and the recruitment team is to lower some of the barriers to entry. There is obviously a process that people need to go through, but it's a supportive process. It's not an onerous process. So the idea is to make sure that people get that level of support. We're not asking them to jump through unnecessary hoops that may have been there or they felt they were there in the past. So that's one of the things we want to do. If we do find, as Catherine said, that there are children with a specific need at a specific time, then if we've got a bank of people who at least consider it, then people like Catherine and the placement officers, etc., can then work sensitively with them to match as closely as possible. There's no point in just putting somebody with somebody else for it to fall apart. That doesn't work for anybody. So that's something, it's lessons we've learned in the past, and it's an ongoing process to make it as child-friendly and parent-friendly as we possibly can.
And that's the way it should be for the sake of those children. And so, Noreen, would you like to sort of make us aware of who in the community they're interested in fostering? Obviously getting in touch with yourself because you're the fostering queen. But what would they do? Who would they get in touch with?
We are sort of liaising with the mosque committee members as well. I'm in the process of sort of sending some documents out. So if they have any queries, any concerns, whether it's on the religious or the cultural side, and they want to sort of clarify. I know a lot of people say like I said, there's certain myths. They can sort of actually approach the mosque committee members as well, as well as all the local councillors, regardless of what party they are. And they will signpost them back to the fostering team, or they could pick up the phone and just sort of call directly to people like Catherine and in that department and inquire.
Great. That's great.
And we are sort of hoping to make more visibility as well. So anyway, if they see a stall, please do feel to sort of join us there and ask any questions as well.
Wonderful. I'm so proud of all that you are doing to support this. It really is. It makes me feel so heartwarmed in an area of need that isn't often spoken about, and that you're so passionate about it. So well done, honestly. I really can't commend the work that you're doing enough in supporting the fostering team at Peterborough City Council, and that your group as well is doing so much. It really is your department. And we need to give you more praise. It's difficult, but you really are enriching the lives of these children, Catherine. So well done to you as well. And in the last, I would say, 2 minutes of the show, what would be your messages to families out there, and what would you like to see in the way of making more connections to make this a more effective project?
Yeah, I mean, part of my role as well is actually going out into the community, and I've been sort of delivering posters and leaflets and things. So the hope is that we create those touch points for people that have been thinking about it, and then they might see a leaflet and think, I really need to do something about that. Just inquire, pick up the phone, send an email. There's no such thing as a stupid question as well, which is what I say to a lot of people, because if you don't ask, you're not going to know the answer, and you might be sitting there ruling yourself out on something that could be really simple. So ask questions, have a discussion, and even if you find that it's maybe not something for you at this time, it might be something later that you can consider. So we're very open. We like to speak to people. We're approachable. We're a supportive team. And if somebody asks me a question that I didn't know the answer to, there is always somebody there that I can find out. We've got a lot of expertise within the team. We're all from sort of different backgrounds with previous employment as well that is transferable to fostering. So we've got lots of skills as a team, and I'm very fortunate that I've got very good management as well, and lots of people that are able to help. So whatever you might be thinking, it's not a stupid question. More than happy to answer anything at all, and I would love to hear from people.
Well, that's fabulous. It's a fabulous end to our first half of the show. Look, I'd really like to take the opportunity to thank you all for coming in. It's been great. It's been a great start to my end to my day, whatever you want to call it. So on behalf of the Salam Radio team, Dennis,
Stay
Catherine
tuned to
and
Salam
Noreen,
Radio after
thank
this
you very
short
much
ad
for
break.
coming to our show.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our restaurant at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5pm to 10:30pm. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Masterminds Tuition Academy is for your high schoolers, your something to provers, your subject strugglers and keen learners, your brave jumpers and fist pumpers. Affordable personalised learning plans are delivered through our centres in schools across Peterborough. But not to worry, we also provide online and home visits with flexible timings. Whether it is maths, English, science or 11+, Masterminds is a must. Find us on all socials and visit our website mastermindstuitionacademy.com or call us on 07516 166 003. Masterminds, master the matrix.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Thinking of laser hair removal but worried about cost? Well Skin Clinic, Peterborough's #1 aesthetic clinic, offers 0% finance on courses of laser hair removal. We perform thousands of treatments using the Soprano titanium in our prestigious clinic. Virtually pain-free and suitable for all skin types, our team of aesthetic professionals can help you achieve your goals affordably. Well Skin Clinic, making life-changing aesthetic treatments affordable for all. 40 Cowgate, Peterborough. Call or WhatsApp us on 01733 555540.
At Master's Pharmacy, we put your health and convenience first. We offer free blood pressure checks and blister-packed medication. With our free same-day prescription delivery service, you can have your medication when you need it. We also offer travel vaccinations, including Hajj and Umrah, along with other services to meet all your pharmacy needs. For more information, contact Master's Pharmacy on 01733 567 208 or visit us at 303 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PH.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet Cafe, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, Allah.
Well, welcome back after that wonderful first half of the show on Salam Radio 106.2 FM regarding fostering. How wonderful was that to hear the journeys of so many families and the input of the councillors as well as Peterborough City Council's fostering team. Now, in the second half of the show, I think it's really important to talk about something that I've never done a show on before, but I felt that it was important. And the reason why I felt it was important was because I found that due to various factors, world events, news, locally, nationally, internationally, we've come out of a pandemic only 2 years ago. We've had an awful lot of loss of life. We have a cost of living crisis. We have so many issues going on in our lives as individuals that I've seen lots of people and an increase of individuals presenting with anger management issues, which then lead to mental health problems, that lead to wider societal conflicts, I like to call them, whether that be within the home or within public. And it's so important as an Islamic radio station to remind listeners, and first and foremost those within our communities, that anger is forbidden in our religion. It really is. And we can give those references from numerous hadiths and other teachings as well. So I felt it was really an important time to talk about anger management and the importance of it as well. But before I do that, my friend David Garner has appeared with his wonderful jokes. I've missed you, David. So David Garner says, "When I was little, my parents used to dip me into Australian lager. It wasn't till I was 18 that I realised I was fostered." I wish I could have shared that. I really wish I could have shared that, David, with the fostering team that was here early. In fact, I'm going to share it with them because it's absolutely hilarious. Thank you so much for that and for making my day. And that's what it is. You have wonderful people in this world like David who share the love and want to share happiness all around. And just imagine if every single day we were to count our vices, there would be so many things. We think bad thoughts, we think of others. How about we reversed it and counted the good deeds we did in the day? And you know, the smallest charity is looking at another person and smiling or making them happy. And it costs nothing. So let's talk about anger management. And we can feel anger for many different reasons. We've seen it, haven't we? People's thresholds. I think social media plays a very significant part in people feeling angry. And it's could be because of a difficult situation that we're feeling in ourselves as well, or that something may have happened to us in the past. Sometimes individuals feel anger because of how we interpret and react to certain situations. And that's key here. That's something that I'd really like us to take on board. But people often interpret situations differently as well. And something that can make one person feel very angry doesn't make the other person angry at all. But just because we interpret things differently doesn't mean that you're interpreting things wrong when you're angry, okay? So that's also very important. I'm not saying at all that whenever a person becomes angry, the situation that they are angry about is the wrong reason for them to be angry about. It's about how to manage that anger. And this is what this show is about. We really have to hone it in on how we manage anger. Not about the situations that we become angry about. So I really want you to take that as a main nugget of information. Now, there are various factors that contribute to the anger levels of an individual. You could have experienced a childhood trauma, also your upbringing, and that's the most frequent reason why people display levels of anger. It really does depend upon their upbringing, their past experiences, their current circumstances, and their health and their well-being as well. Don't forget that an individual can become angry because of how they are in the way of their physical health and mental health too. And whether your anger is something to do with the past or something happening now, thinking about how and why we interpret and react to situations can help. Why do people become angry? Why? Finding out your why. And this is what I say to young people all the time when I go into schools. Finding your why. Why are we here and why do we do what we do? That can often help you channelize that anger. Now, childhood and upbringing. Some people may have grown up thinking that it's always okay to act out your anger aggressively or violently, because you were never taught how to manage your anger or your angry feelings. This can also mean that you have very angry outbursts whenever you don't like the way somebody has done something to you or how they're behaving. You may have also been brought up to believe that you shouldn't complain, and that can be very accumulative. When it becomes accumulative, it can become very destructive. So it can happen that when you are a child, or when you were a child, you were punished. And that means that you've suppressed your anger. And if you feel you can't release your anger in a healthy way, that can then become a long-term problem. So if you're not comfortable with new situations, your reaction to those situations as an adult might be out of place, or it might be ill-fitting, or you might turn that anger inwards onto yourself. So suppressing anger as well, or being punished for anger as a child, can make you have outbursts when you grow older. When you were a child, you might have witnessed your parents being angry growing up. And learn to think of anger that is always something destructive and terrifying when you were a child. This could mean that you're now afraid of your own anger and you don't feel safe expressing your feelings when something makes you angry. These feelings might then surface at other connected times, and this may feel hard to explain. Sometimes the anger that we all feel can be related to past experiences. This means that we then react more stronger to a situation we're experiencing in the present because of anger about what happened to us in the past. And if you've experienced situations in the past that have made you feel angry, you might still be coping with those angry feelings now, especially if you weren't able to safely express your anger at the time. And those situations could include abuse, trauma, racism, bullying. I openly say I was bullied as a child. That makes me extra specially sensitive as an adult. But I've developed strategies and tactics that I think have worked for me to a degree, but there is still improvement. And I feel that it's important talking to you that we're all honest about our feelings as well. So if you're not honest about your feelings, you're not honest to yourself, and then you cannot find that way to move forward. I've got a comment here from Sister Nadia Abdul Rahman. Assalamu alaikum, sister. It's lovely to have you join this show. Now, Sister Nadia Abdul Rahman says, when they are angry, we see so many young people emulate the behaviour that they've seen in their environment. Rather than express their upset and vulnerability, they show their sadness as anger. And do you know, that is so true. It's so true now. And part of that is because young people sometimes don't see their upset and vulnerability validated. So it's so important to validate people's upset and their vulnerability. And also emulating the behaviour that they see in their environment is also very important. So I see that, and I completely agree, and it's such a valid point that Sister Nadia has brought up. So thank you very much for that as well. There are other factors that can make you feel angry. Stress, if you've had a bereavement as well, because anger can be a part of grief. Grief has various stages. Anger and denial about why this has happened to a bereaved person. Why me, often? Why did this have to happen to me? Why did I have to be punished? Why was this person taken away from me? Are often questions. Again, the why. And Sister Nadia has also said, can you explain misogyny and violence against women? How is it that so many men are still violent towards women? I think that is a fabulous, fabulous question, Sister Nadia. And I would with pleasure like to answer that question. Now, again, I think in answer to your question, misogyny is a type of, let's say, prejudice against women. And I myself have experienced misogyny in various forms. The misogyny can be apparent, obvious, not so obvious, and it comes towards women who are thought to be expressive in a certain way or arena or platform, or just because women have to express themselves. And sometimes they can experience misogyny, and that misogyny can come from a loved one, it can come from a family member, it can come from somebody outside their family as well. And women are often seen, and have been since time immemorial, seen as the weaker sex. They are seen as the less powerful sex. And that is why the authority that naturally comes with the perception of a man by virtue of the male hormone testosterone can give men the feeling that they are more superior and more powerful than women. And those beliefs can often translate into misogynistic behavior towards women in various forms that can be apparent and not so apparent. So behaviours such as, if it's a work environment, and if a woman is working with a misogynist in a work environment, small aspects of belittling a woman, not validating any good work that she may do or produce, mitigating and nullifying any success that she may be experiencing. And there's all, the association is with the whole validation aspect, Sister Nadia. And it's such an important point. It's something that I passionately talk about as well. But I also feel that as well as influences around that, there is also the element of the cultural element. So remember, we separate culture from religion, and in the Muslim faith, of which I belong, and I'm a proud Muslim, the place of the woman is held in incredibly high esteem. And women went to war in Islam back in the day, and they took care of the home as well. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him's first wife, Hazrat Khadija alayhi salam, she was a businesswoman in her own right and a wealthy woman in Mecca. So she had her own standing, and we have those examples within our faith that ordain a woman her position within faith as well. So that cannot be disputed. However, some of these misogynistic practices that have come forth more recently are culturally associated. And because they are culturally associated, they deem to take the protections that Islam has for women, which can often have horrible consequences. So it's very important that we talk about the cultural perceptions of women in any community at all. And sometimes there isn't a cultural factor. It is as a result of those factors that I've just brought up, the childhood factors, the upbringing, the experiences, the factors such as stress, discrimination, injustice, financial situations as well, the feeling of helplessness. And if somebody is suffering from anger, they need help for it. And that is why I think it's so important that we have to talk about it as well. Again, you have other factors such as hormonal factors or physical factors that could make people angry, or other practices such as alcoholism or even indulging in illicit drug addiction that can cause anger. So there are various factors that can also lead towards violence against women as well, Sister Nadia. But this is, I think, a really interesting topic to talk about, and it must be spoken about, because the violence against women, especially in today's day and age, with the advent of social media, within our communities where a woman's dignity, respect and her integrity are really all that she has, and people use that as a weapon to bring her down. And I've experienced this myself, and that is why I like to talk about it so openly, because I have many men, often within my own community, who will seek to bring me down by bringing my integrity and dignity into disrepute. But I do not allow that to faze me, and I'm here to empower other women not to be fazed by it and to be supported. And by the way, I don't say this because I have had it personally, but those women who face misogyny, their biggest allies are from the men who support them and call out that misogyny and discrimination. So if you are a man who is listening to this and you want to be an ally, do remember that there is much gratification and much power in a man who has the dignity and the strength to stand up for a woman that he is seeing is being openly discriminated or subjected to misogyny and violence. So I really did like that question, Sister Nadia, and you see I've gone on about it. I hope that that has helped. Now, how can we manage our anger? How do we manage anger? I know I don't have enough time to talk about all of this at length, but I have made some points that I do want to talk about. So managing your anger in the moment. Now, if we're really angry, it can be very, very difficult to calm down in the moment, can't it? Have you ever found that you're overwhelmingly angry about something? But easier said than done. It may help to try and delay your reaction for as long as possible. But how do you do that? Allowing some time between when you first feel angry and when you react may help you feel calmer or more in control. Some of the things you can try are thinking to yourself or telling yourself, do you know, I'm really angry right now, without trying to justify or explain why. Try not to find that why at that time. And accepting that feeling without acting upon it can sometimes be helpful. We've all had that telephone call and we've all had that interaction with someone and you've thought, oh, I feel so angry. But tell yourself, I'm really angry right now. I'm feeling really angry right now, and tell yourself that. But don't try and justify or find the why. Just tell yourself that you invalidate yourself And that can sometimes calm you down. It's a handy tool. Take yourself away from that situation. You could go for a walk, go to a different room, or log off if the situation is online. And that's something that I need to do better. And I say that to you as somebody who has become rather irritated or irate at circumstances that are out of my control. But I could do better to walk away and not give oxygen to that situation. And this is me saying that myself, but it's a good tip to have. Somebody, a therapist, has told me about using a code word for when you feel angry. You could say this to yourself or to others that can signal you need some time to yourself before taking things any further. This may help you to avoid having to explain yourself in the moment. Now, code words doesn't mean that everybody would know what your code word is, so you don't want to make yourself subject to ridicule or mockery, but it's worth thinking about what you could mutter to yourself as well. And Sister Nadia, thank you, Doc, for sharing your insights and experiences. Looking forward to seeing you at TDA's empowerment event, inshallah. I can't wait. I love the young people in TDA, and I'm looking so forward to coming. I really am. Thank you so much, Sister Nadia, for the invitation. Can't wait to be there. International Women's Day is just amazing. Can't wait to be there. Thank you. So focus on what's around you when you find yourself angry, going back to how we manage our anger. Listing 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Sometimes it's not practical in that moment. And sometimes the last thing you want to think about is, God, what can I see? What can I hear? But yes, 5 things you can see is usually a good deflection from feeling the heat of the moment when you get angry. And focus on your breath. Breathe slowly and deeply. And I've used these breathing techniques with so many people in times of anxiety, panic attacks. And you breathe slowly and deeply and try breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Some people find it helpful to count whilst they're doing it as well. You can use a grounding object. So keep a small object with you to hold and focus on when you feel angry. Some people have used a marble, a fidget toy, or even a piece of fabric. And keep notes on your phone with reminders to yourself about what to do when you feel angry. And one thing I have is a little app called a motivation app. And that just pings me every morning before I go out for work. It pings me a wonderful quote to start my day. And I love it because it's a thing that really does feed my positivity and motivation. Because I've got a very stressful job being in the NHS, it can sometimes just make me feel grounded. I've got a comment here from Daiki Sidra. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, a bit far from your subject. Can you please explain the fungal infection and the great products, except the Canesten and even Dactacort products, which are not helping anymore? Right. I agree, Daiki, and I am going to help you with that. I'm going to give you a short answer. What if your creams aren't working for a fungal infection? It may be worth you having a chat with a clinician or a GP, because you might need an oral antifungal tablet to clear whatever infection it is, whatever fungal infection it is, and wherever that may be. I know it is a bit off topic, but I can't help. I have often said that I can welcome any questions, so I welcome your questions. So do talk to your doctor about having an oral antifungal tablet. I hope that helps. Now, coming back to strategies of dealing with anger, relax your body. If you can feel your body getting tense, sometimes you'll clench your fists or you will grit your teeth and clench your jaw. Relax it. Let your shoulders sit back. Try mindfulness techniques. I've given those techniques before, like downloading a free app called Smiling Mind. Doing 10 minutes of mindfulness exercises every day is just wonderful. And I remember doing a mindfulness exercise with a great trade union group called Unison, and they all fell asleep. It was great to just open my eyes and see everybody sleeping, but it's great for relaxing and can also mitigate the effects of anger as well. And try and avoid rumination. Rumination is when you think about an issue or problem over and over and over again in your head. That's not helpful. It's not helpful to you, most of all. Take a cold shower, talk to a trusted person, and use up your energy safely in other ways. Do some physical activities, express your anger through writing or art, spend time in a green space, get off your mobile phone, come away from the internet, don't watch it. But whatever you do, listeners, try and keep a hold of your anger. This is the end of the Body, Health and Mind show for today. It was absolutely wonderful being here in your glorious presence, and I really hope that you can join me at the next Body, Health and Mind show, whenever that's going to be. In the meantime, thank you very much, listeners. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this